Hi, I'm Chris Higgins, sitting in the box again in my little home studio. Today, my guest is someone who knows this area intimately here in the west end of Toronto. It's here that he grew up, came of age, and became a teacher. The two of us met, of all places, at our barber shop, Mr. Barber in the Junction. My guest taught at Western Tech and later at University of Toronto schools. I heard that he was an excellent teacher who made a real difference in the lives of his students. He's also a really great storyteller. I just love to hear him talk. And his father is easily the most famous boxer in Canadian history. So today we're going to talk about memories and how they're bound up in the places where it all started. I'm very pleased to welcome Mitch Chuvalo. How's it going, Mitch?
Chris, thank you. Great to be here. Thank you for that wonderful and kind introduction. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
I used to drive through the Junction. I was a driver for my parents' business. We started in '82, and it's such a different place today. You must remember the Junction from way back. What do you remember in those streets?
You're right, it has changed a lot since my first memories. I think I'd go back to some mid-60s, Toronto, going through the Junction. I remember my father's family was Croatian, and they had very good family friends who ran a place called Pacific Textiles. Croatian family, the Bojkovats family, ran that. So often my dad would stop in the Junction to talk to them. We'd also stop at probably the most famous eatery in the Junction, and that would be Vesuvio's, right? That was a great pizza and pasta place that my dad used to take me to. He took me to so many different restaurants in Toronto, but he loved going to Vesuvio's. There was a gym owner called Ron Parnas who had different versions of Ron's gym. Ron was a Maltese gym owner, and of course in the west end of the Junction, the Maltese element is very strong, not so much closer to Kiel, but he had a couple of gyms there that we would frequent. Ron's gym on the north side of Dundas, just west of Kiel, the police station on Maviti. My dad spent a night there one time for being arrested for disturbing the peace. He was at a friend's house, and some people crashed the party. He asked them to leave, and there was an altercation. He was arrested, and thankfully found the charges were dropped when they realized he was trying to keep the peace instead of disturbing it. My parents met at the corner of Kiel and Dundas, and my mother walked down from York South Weston Road, close to Rogers. My mom walked down, and she met the champ of Canada on the corner, and they quickly fell in love. I was born 10 or 11 months later.
You also have quite a history with Western Tech. What are your memories there?
Well, my mother was pregnant with me when she had to quit Western Tech. Well, she didn't have to, but she did. I taught in one of the classrooms that she was actually, that she was in. Yeah. So she went to Western Tech, which is a fabulously beautiful school that's been used in many different movies. It's great architecture.
Did you grow up in that area?
No, I grew up a little farther north, in what they call the Harwood section of York Southwestern. Apparently, Harwood, there was a Mr. Harwood who was a great educator and teacher and principal, and Harwood. I went to Harwood Public School.
It was my first school that I taught at.
Fantastic.
Summer school. There was no one there except me and a bunch of kids. The meatpacking area was in the air, and it was hot in the summer.
In that part of the world, industry is not very far away, right? McCormick Avenue, they'd have all the auto parts, used auto parts sales, right? And used cars and everything like that. And then just behind that, a little farther south, there was a dump for a long time, right adjacent to I think it's called the Lavender Creek, which feeds into Black Creek. And then just a little south of that was the meatpacking plant, Canada Packers and Swifts, where my grandfather, my dad's dad, worked. So yeah, your industry is never very far away. I have great memories of that area too, right? My dad taking me on bicycle rides. My dad grew up on Hook Avenue, which is a little east of Kiel Street, on the north side of Dundas, and they call it Hook Avenue because it hooks around. Yeah, my grandmother worked plucking chickens for, can you believe this? A penny a bird. Yeah, and he would tell me about going to a place called Morgan's Cigar Store, which was somewhere around Indian Road Crescent and Dundas, and seeing Joe Louis, the famous Joe Louis, the heavyweight champ of the world, on the cover of Ring magazine, and looking at it and say, hey man, guys, muscles, athlete, that's for me.
I remember this picture. It was your dad with, these like heavy boots on, like maybe he jogged in heavy stuff.
The training modality of the day for fighters involved running in work boots. Really? Well, the principle can't be that good for the structures of your feet, right? That's what we think. But back then they used to believe that the heavier the boot, you'd get more conditioning out of it. Kind of symbolic of the times, the mentality of the training of the times. Yeah, he was. I know the picture you're speaking of, and I think he's wearing an overcoat or a trench coat at the time, and he's running along. I believe that to be Chris. I believe that's DuPont, just east of Old Weston Road. Just a little farther north of Junction Road. Right. And the thing I noticed about that picture is how young that part of the world looks at that time. Right, that would have been like mid-50s. Right, so most of the homes there would be like, 30, 40 years old. Now they're over 100 years old, right? Yeah, and that picture also, there are no mature trees. Now they're all mature trees. At that time, there were no mature trees. A great black and white shot, yeah. Interesting that you noticed that one.
Yeah. I remember reading that your dad went to Humberside.
For a very short period of time. Yeah, my dad, as a good Catholic boy, went to St. Mike's for a while. It's funny because I live we all travel so many places, and I've been to India and Nepal, and I lived in the States for a while going to school, and you end up like coming back and you wonder why that is. There's got to be a reason why I live in this neighborhood, right? And it's because I feel comfortable here, right? Where everybody's kind of looking for a home in a way, in capital H home, like in the bigger sense, right? We all have places where we reside, but everybody's looking for a bit of a home.
All right, let's talk again.
Yes, sir. Dad at the barbershop.
I'll see you at the barber. Dario, Mr. Prodamani, this one's for you, buddy. Okay.
Thanks, my friend.
Okay.